guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a television series review. This series is from the United States, English language, released in the year 2026, directed by Haley Z. Boston, and this series is called Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. So Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen is about this woman who is about to get married to the love of her life, and she is travelling to meet his family. She has this feeling that something really bad is going to happen, but unfortunately the more she actually spends time with the family, the more this feeling starts to become very intense. So whether or not it's just paranoia and anxiety, or is actually something's going to happen, is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. I wanted to watch this series because I thought the title was very enticing, and it was something that as an anxiety sufferer myself can actually relate to. Something very bad is going to happen. So when you have something that's new or something that's very big, anxiety can really creep up and become a major factor in making you feel quite fearful. And so that's the reason why I wanted to go and see it, because Something Bad Is Going to Happen is definitely something that I say a lot. And so I thought, alright, well that title is very captivating, very enticing, and so I saw the trailer and I thought this looks very good, and hopefully it was going to be as good as I really wanted it to. And after watching this series, I will say that although it does have some very, very impressive elements, unfortunately there was one big mistake, and that massive mistake is something that a lot of television series and movies actually fall victim to, and that was definitely the most disappointing aspect. But what I really liked about this series is that the first half of it was absolutely phenomenal in its intensity and the atmosphere. Atmospherically, it was very strange. The characters that were introduced into this series were very, very strange. This man's family, were they just odd? Were they just eccentric? Or in fact, were they quite, was there a different sort of agenda? Were they actually up to something that was very bad? Or was it all the anxiety? Was it all just the fear that this woman is going to get married? This is a massive event in her life, and sometimes that can have an effect on you and how you perceive other people. And so that was what really had me on the edge of my seat throughout the first half of this series. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. And so it maintains that level of mystery, it maintains that atmosphere and the invisible presence that really grabs the viewer. And so vulnerability is definitely intensified, and I just thought to myself as each episode went on, I wanted to see more. And so this was actually building into something really, really good. The acting I thought was fantastic. The main couple, I thought the chemistry was there. Yes, they absolutely loved each other, but with this massive event coming up, doubts start to come through. And so I thought their very three-dimensional aspect to these characters actually made a lot of relatability. And so when they meet, this main couple meet the family, I thought the family were played really, really well. As I said, they were very odd. It almost felt like a David Lynch sort of story, in the Lynchian worlds that he created, where it's very uncomfortable that these characters are off, but you don't know whether or not it's just you. You're seeing these eccentric people as, because they're different, they're off, or in fact, are they hiding something that is quite sinister? And so, as I said, the invisible presence really captivates you, and the story really starts to evolve in a way that I thought was very menacing. I thought the soundtrack was very, very good. The cinematography was excellent. It captured a real sense of isolation. It was set during the wintry snow, and I just thought to myself, this was the center of the universe. There was no escaping, just like there was no escaping the fact that they were getting married. And so all of that plays in a very, very psychological way that I thought was a battleground. And so that battleground really made me want to know more, and it really wanted to make me see what was going to happen at the end, because it does promise something that I thought was going to completely illuminate the sky. But unfortunately, the reason why this series didn't work as well as it did is because it reveals itself way too early. And so the first half of this series is absolutely phenomenal because you don't know what you're up against. But once you know what you're up against, this is where the actual series starts to fall downhill rapidly. I thought to myself, it just wasn't a good reveal. It wasn't really the resolution that I wanted to, or that anticipation. It's like the anti-climax. When you actually find out what's going on, you think to yourself, okay, is that it? And that was just a massive letdown. Because it's a letdown way too early in the series, I just thought to myself, the second half really starts to drag. The series is way too long. It's 8 episodes. And because it reveals itself way too early, and because the reveal isn't that great, I just thought to myself, alright, it's starting to lag, and it really does get very tiresome. And so it loses all the momentum that the first half creates because of the fact it reveals itself too early, and because of the fact that the reveal is very mediocre, and it just doesn't really elevate itself after the reveal. It almost feels like it goes up to the peak halfway through, and then it comes back down. And so there's a long sort of brace for impact, and when the impact hits you, it's not as hard as it really should have been. And so that was the major criticism of this show, is that it was a very disappointing It was way too long, it outstayed its welcome, and it really disappoints me to say that. I really wanted to love this show because the first half was phenomenal. It's a high production, I thought was really, really good. It plays on the fears that anxiety can create. Are you just overreacting, or in fact is your instinct true, and are you in trouble? And so that is what really had me on the edge of my seat in suspense, but unfortunately it reveals itself, and the reveal is just not good enough to carry the rest of the show right up into the end. So unfortunately this is not coming recommended. If you could cut it in half, yes, it would be recommended, but unfortunately that's not good enough. As a result of that, I'm going to give Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen 2 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.